The second reading is taken from chapter 19 of the book of Psalm. The law of the Lord is perfect, converting the soul. The testimony of the Lord is sure, making wise the simple. The statutes of the Lord are right, rejoicing the heart. The commandment of the Lord is pure, enlightening the eyes. The fear of the Lord is clean, enduring forever. The judgments of the Lord are true and righteous altogether. More to be desired are they than gold, yea, than much fine gold, sweeter also than honey and the honeycomb. Moreover, by them your servant is warned, and in keeping them there is great reward. Who can understand his errors? Cleanse me from secret faults. Keep back your servant also from presumptuous sins. Let them not have dominion over me. Then I shall be blameless, and I shall be innocent of a great transgression. Let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in your sight, O Lord, my rock and my redeemer. Our further reading is a portion taken from True Christian Religion 321. You are not to bear false witness against your neighbor. In its most accessible earthly meaning, this commandment against bearing false witness against our neighbor or testifying falsely includes not being a false witness before a judge or before others outside of a courtroom against someone who is wrongly accused of some evil. We are not to make such false assertions in the name of God or something sacred, or base them on our authority or on some expertise for which we are well known. In a broader earthly sense, this commandment applies to political lies and hypocrisies of every kind that have an evil intent, as well as disparagement and slander of our neighbors to undermine the status, name, and reputation on which their whole good character depends. In the broadest earthly sense, this commandment includes plots, deceptions, and evil intent against anyone for a variety of motives, such as hostility, hatred, desire for revenge, envy, rivalry, and so on. These evils have a false witness hidden inside them. The heavens declare the glory of God, and the firmament shows his handiwork. Psalm 19 beautifully pictures nature as the Lord's handiwork. The blue sky, the vibrant earth, the trees and plants, and even the snow in them reveal the perfection and the beauty of our Creator. It views the world as something much more than just an object to be studied and controlled. C.S. Lewis considered Psalm 19 to be the greatest poem in the Psalter and one of the greatest lyrics in the world. This divine poem touches our hearts and uplifts our minds toward the Creator. This poem also shows how to use words and sentences for the purpose of goodness. Language is an important tool to exchange our thoughts and connect ourselves with others. We greatly appreciate the invention of language. Have you realized that the sublime beauty toward in our minds from this poem is reflected and pictured by the carefully chosen words and their inner beautiful combination? Those poetic words convey to us the magnificence and exquisiteness of the Lord's handiwork and enliven our senses to see it, to sense it, to feel it. Those words serve as the symbols that help us envision His work in our minds. Language is characterized as a symbol in this type of use. The symbols are serviceable for making representation and illustration. A language is a tool of communication. Through spoken and written words, we express our feelings, thoughts, and even complaints. Can you imagine the difficulty of our communal life without language, a communication tool? Body language is not good enough to express our precise needs, abstract thoughts, even those technical terms in this complicated world. We may wonder how humankind happened to have language from the beginning. Swedenborg states in Heaven and Hell, his work, "I have been told that the first language of man on our earth was in agreement with angelic language because they had it from heaven, that the Hebrew language agrees with it in some respects." Our first language was derived from heaven. This statement helps us have heavenly aspects in the contents of our life on earth that are mostly based on speaking and writing. We can engage with our neighbors through communication and connection beyond our personal territory. Language is much more than a type of a symbol and a medium of communication. It brings us heavenly qualities. It provides us with a foundation for mutual love with our fellow man and for relationships with them. It connects us with others. However, sometimes the use of language disconnects us from our family members, friends, and neighbors. When we verbally defame and harshly revile others, we hurt them and turn them from us. Indeed, depending on our usage, language blesses our human life. On the contrary, it condemns our relationship with others. When we reflect on our use of language, what should be the first Christian virtue? It should be telling the truth all the time. The Lord commanded in the 8th commandment, "You shall not bear false witness against your neighbor." This has been a basic social and religious ethic worldwide. In the book of the Proverbs, we read, "Lying lips are an abomination to the Lord, but those who deal with it truthfully are His delight." In Revelation, the cowardly, unbelieving, abominable, murderers, sexually immoral, sorcerers, idolaters, and all liars shall have their part in the lake which burns with fire and brimstone. The Lord's message is very clear. We shouldn't tell a lie in any circumstances, but should tell the truth. If we look at the motivation of most lying, it is a desire either to hurt others against whom the lie is directed, or to protect oneself, usually out of fear or pride. The example of the first case is a scene in a famous story of King Solomon's wise judgment. Two women brought one baby to Solomon, and each one claimed the baby was hers. Obviously, one woman lied to harm a baby. She wished the baby to be killed because her own baby died in the night. There are many possible situations where we may hurt other people by lying or lying to hurt and defame other people, as we see in the story of two women. Making a false accusation, stating a false witness, and defaming one's name, honor, and reputation to injure one's whole character depends. These lies are sins because they are from an evil desire to harm innocent people. Unfortunately, these lies happen around us, but they are not the kinds of lies we often fall into as the new Christians and Christians. Most likely, we lie to avoid embarrassment, defend our positions, and cover up our wrongdoings. The opportunities to defend ourselves with lies are manifold. Saul became the king of Israel. The Philistines invaded. When Saul saw that his people run away from him and Samuel didn't come to offer sacrifice to Jehovah, Saul offered the burnt offering, which wasn't allowed. Saul excused himself later, saying, "The people were scattered from me, and you did not come within the days appointed, and the Philistines gathered at Michmash. The Philistines will now come down on me at Gilgal, and I have not made supplication to the Lord. Therefore I felt compelled and offered a burnt offering." Saul didn't want to lose his throne and honor because of his impatient misbehavior. He lied to Samuel and before the Lord and excused himself for his offering, which was against the divine law. But the result was miserable. Later, he was killed in battle, and his throne and kingdom were taken from his family and given to David. Lies for defending oneself take away an opportunity for self-examination by clouding reality with excuses. Defensive lies induce more problems than healing the problems. We need to stop them. There's another kind of lie. There may be some allowable lies, such as lies of expediency. Can a physician lie to give some temporary relief to his dying patient? Can a captured soldier tell untrue facts to an interrogator to protect his fellow man and country? Can a father lie to his little daughter a tooth fairy really exists to soothe her painful process of pulling a wiggling tooth? These white lies wouldn't harm anybody. They are more likely necessary in many situations. There is no plain teaching on the white lies. Only one passage in the true Christian religion refers to it indirectly, which reads, "The eighth commandment forbids all kinds of lies and hypocrisies in civil life which look to an evil end." The lies of expediency appear to be allowed as long as they don't look to an evil end and a wicked plan. This teaching opens another possible ground for harmless lies. There may be some lies from oblivion, confusion, and ignorance. They are forgiven to an extent that they are harmless and they don't intend to damage others and defend themselves. However, with better and not lie as much as we can, because telling a lie is never the same as telling a truth. To tell the truth is a virtue of Christians and also the commandment of the Lord, and has power in it. The heavenly doctrines for the new church teach us that when a person abstains from false testimonies, understood in a moral and spiritual sense, and shuns and turns away from them as sins, the love of truth and the love of justice flowing from the Lord through heaven. And when in consequence the person loves truth and loves justice, he loves the Lord. For the Lord is truth itself, and justice itself. And when a person loves truth and justice, it may be said that truth and justice love him, because the Lord loves him. And as a consequence, his utterances become utterances of truth, and his works become works of justice. In many cases, truth-telling makes us connected with others and builds a healthy relationships. Our untrue or manipulative behaviors rob us of the opportunity to attach ourselves to others and experience the blessing of true friendship and mutual love. Being true and honest is often understood as venting out our feelings and emotions without restraint. Yet we need to be careful in our venting out feelings. Think about a co-worker who reveals his negative feelings and the reasons for them when you say to him, "How are you?" every morning. You and others may see him as very, very honest, but you will gradually reserve your greeting and will finally avoid him. We also can be in situations where we just say how we feel and think without filtering. It is important to frankly express how we feel about things, we think about them. But our statements are not necessarily to blame others or to be argumentative. We think we'd better vent out our negative feelings for the sake of our mental and physical health. Medical researchers even report that suppressed emotion can cause bodily harm, ranging from headaches, digestive disorders, and ulcers, to arthritis and cancer. But these researchers also point out that the unrestrained expression of negative emotion can be equally dangerous. It can produce high blood pressure and lead to heart attacks. Therefore, it is vitally important that we learn how to appropriately express our negative emotions, especially anger. Our conversations, whether they are symbols of our communication, are to be honest and truthful. We need to be careful not to blame others, not to make others wrong in our candid words. Taking a firm stand about things is not the same as attacking someone's point and accusing others of being wrong. At the same time, we can take a firm stand against our own tactless comments and angry outbreak that belittle others and tear away their self-esteem. Our communication may be clear, direct, and to the point, but it can still be tactful, kind, merciful. Language is invaluable to us. We can appreciate the beauty of the word in the words of poets gifted inspiration by having the imagery within us. It also connects us with the Word and the people through communication. We can think of a spiritual benefit too. The Word of the Lord and its meaning are kept and understood in the context of a language. Certainly, we can use this wonderful gift from heaven for many useful things. We need to remember that to the same extent, we can also abuse this gift by using it in attacking others and defending ourselves. We need to try to tell the truth all the time. As lying and the truth are two opposite things, it follows that in proportion to anyone shuns lying as a sin, in the same proportion a person becomes to love the truth. The Lord's commandment calls us to be thoroughly honest in our contact with other people, speaking openly and kindly, neither shunning nor seeking confrontation, and thinking only in terms of how our words may serve. Saying things kindly and expressing our negative feelings peacefully and objectively may require certain communication skills, yet the real source of such a technique resides within us. Our words are external form of our thoughts and intentions. They are reflections of our deeper motives, inner ideas, and private desires. Perhaps we can find who we are and what we desire by observing the way we speak, the things we say to others. Our unkind words and accusative tones mirror and project our similar state. The real problem lies in our inner self rather than outer behavior. We may earn a superficial skill and be able to say kind words in front of others, despite feeling hatred against that person. But these words not ours. The Heavenly Doctrines for the New Church warn us that for all hypocrisies can do good deeds and speak good words, but they do not have good intentions or thoughts. It is hypocritical unless we really mean it from our hearts. First, we need to grow warm toward the person, and then we can genuinely say kind words to the person. We shouldn't tell a lie, but tell the truth. We need to learn and develop how to vent out our thoughts and feelings without engaging in blaming, accusation, or defensiveness. However, the more fundamental issue in using language is that we need to change ourselves from within. Truly, these efforts bring us to have a good communication with our neighbors and even with the Lord. Let's remember that our language comes from heaven, not from hell. It should be used to bring a heavenly atmosphere within us and among others. This morning, these words are prayer for us. Let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in your sight, O Lord, my rock and my redeemer. Amen.